Hey students, welcome to another Mr. Ness screencast. Today's aim is Intro to Unit 3 Migration, and here are your objectives. Pause the video, look these questions over, and get ready to copy some vocab terms and take some notes. So this unit is about migration, which is when people move in a way that is intended to be permanent. And the word permanent is important because later in the year we're going to look at seasonal movements that herders and nomads make. And we do not consider that migration. If you go visit your family in another country during the summer, that's not migration either. Migration means you are moving with the intention of staying somewhere else permanently. And two types of migration that I want you to distinguish between are internal and international. Internal means that people are moving within their country. In other words, they don't cross an international border when they move. International migration means that people do cross international borders and they travel from one country to another. Emigration or outmigration is the word that we use to refer to people moving away from a place. Immigration is used to refer to people moving to a place. And these two words always go together. Whenever people emigrate from somewhere, they are immigrating to somewhere else. So when my grandparents came to this country, they emigrated from Europe and they immigrated to the US. It helps me to remember that emigration starts with an E, like the word exit. While immigration starts with an I, which I think of as coming into a place. All right, let's look at push factors and pull factors. Push factors are reasons to emigrate from a place. They're usually bad things that make people want to leave. And by far the most common push factor for migration in the world is poverty or a lack of jobs. Another common one is war or violence. Pull factors are reasons people immigrate to a place, and these are usually good things that attract people. And the most common pull factor is the availability of jobs or other opportunities. And another common one is peace or stability, especially for people who are fleeing violence. Net migration is a statistic that tells us how much movement of people is happening in a country. And we find it by taking the number of immigrants who are coming to that country and subtracting the number of emigrants that are leaving that country. Net migration can be positive or negative. If it's positive, then more people are coming than are leaving. And if it's negative, more people are leaving than are coming. All right, here is the last term for today, and it's the most important one. Zelinsky's model of migration transition. So this was a model created by Wilbur Zelinsky, an American geographer, and he attempted to combine the demographic transition model, which you learned about in the previous unit, with the idea of migration. And the idea of Zelinsky's model is that if we know a country's level of development, we can predict its migration patterns. So this is a model looking at the relationship between development and migration. Let's look first at countries that have low development. These are ones that are in stage 2 or stage 3 of the demographic transition. Remember, these countries have high birth rates and high youth dependencies. And Zelinsky's model predicts that in these countries, most internal migration, that's the movement of people within the country, will be from rural areas to urban areas. So in poorer countries, there's a lot of movement from the countryside to cities. Internationally, the model predicts that in less developed countries, there will be many more people emigrating or leaving the country than there are coming to it. And that makes sense because these countries have high numbers of young people, but often not enough jobs for them. So a lot of the young people leave to go to other countries in search of work. Now let's look at what the model predicts for wealthier countries. The model says that in MDCs, which are in stages 4 or stage 5 of the demographic transition, most internal migration is from cities to suburbs. And you're going to learn a lot more about suburbanization later in the year. For now, know that the movement of people to suburbs is a trend happening in rich countries, but not in poor ones. Finally, the model predicts that internationally, more people are immigrating to these rich countries than are emigrating away from them. And again, this makes sense. These countries are wealthy, so people want to move to them to find opportunities. And if we think about the demographic characteristics, these countries are in stage 5 and they have few young workers and many elder people. So they often need and welcome immigrants to come and work. All right, it's time to review the objectives. If you missed any of the answers to any of them, just rewind the video and look again. I'll see you in class. Bye, students.